Mandesh from Chess Gaja. Today we continue our series on studying tactics of various grandmasters, currently only Indian grandmasters, um, who played in the 44th Chess Olympiad. Today we are going to look at the top three tactics employed by Indian grandmaster Raunak Sadhwani, playing for India too, the bronze medalists of the Open category tournament. So let's dive straight into it and look at the top three tactics that the young Indian grandmaster employed in his games. This is round four of the 44th Chess Olympiad. Uh, Raunak Sadhwani is playing black against Francesco Sonis. Um, this is around move 15. As you can see, the last move that white played was a pawn push to b3. And over here, Raunak plays rook to c8. Now, this tactic is really very simple. Both the players, through the beginning in the first 15 moves, they have already exchanged a few pieces and a few pawns. It seems like they're both playing for draw. None of them are really expecting any, like none of them have gotten any edge over the other, over their respective opponents or anything like that. They are just simply they are playing textbook games, and this tactic is actually really basic and textbook which Ronak as well as Francisco play in the game right now. So rook to c8, grabbing hold of the semi-open c file with this pawn on c5 soon. About to get exchanged. Maybe a pawn push here is also coming. So that pawn is going to go, and then the rook will have free access to the open file once it gets open. Also, it's a good idea to put the rook on the same file as the opponent's queen is, because whenever the exchange does happen here, the opponent will have to scramble to save his queen, which might just lose him some tempo and gain you some tempo. So always just basic common sense textbook chess knowledge that Ronak Sadhwani plays with. Obviously, Francesco doesn't want his queen to be on the same file as the opponent's rook, especially when the file is about to open up. Um, Francesco Sonis plays queen to b2, but obvious. Again, textbook game by Ronak, rook to c7, just with the idea of doubling down on the c file, which again is going to open up soon enough by one way or the other. So this is textbook a game by Ronak. This is something that you should always keep in mind, to always stick to the basics. Obviously, opponent would like to do the same thing. He also wants to grab control of the semi-open C file. It is not open yet, so you can put your pieces opposite to the opponent's rooks, without the fear of immediate exchanges. So obviously, rook a to c1, trying to grab control of the semi-open c file, challenging the rook on c7. Rook to c8. Ronak had already prepared the double rook battery for the c file, and now Francisco does the same thing. Rook to c3, with ideas of rook f to c1, and then queen to c2. Maybe first rook to c rook rook 1 to c2, and then queen to c1. Like that will be a triple battery against the two double battery. But then Ronak can also bring his queen in and put it on c6. So it's this textbook game. Okay, this is something that you should always take care of. Doubling down. Okay, knight to f8, remaneuvering the knight. With the idea being that uh, knight to e6 would be a strong move, since that will control the d4 square where the exchanges are supposed to happen. A lot of pieces attacking on zeroing in on the same square. So yeah, that's just a slight remaneuvering of the knight by Ronak. And now obviously Francisco also doubled up the rook, so rook f to c1, and now both the rooks are doubled up. Uh, all four rooks are on the same c file, which is about to open up. So yes, knight to e6 as planned. H3, waiting to see what Ronak does, and Ronak goes for the exchange. Exchange. There is a series of exchanges right here. Um, Soon the knights also get exchanged, and within two moves, after a few more pawn exchanges, this is where the players agree to draw on move 30th. So we started this tactic analysis at move 15, and within 15 moves, the entire most of the board is exchanged, and the players agree to a draw. Um, textbook play by both of the players. including Raunak. Um, Although he did have the advantage of doubling on the C file early, like before Francesco did over C1 and C3. However, that advantage is not much of an advantage since the file was not open by the time uh, the the rooks were double up, and by the time the file was open, all the rooks were there on the C file. So textbook play by Raunak, which ultimately fetches him a draw, a valuable draw. Um, and yeah, so that is the first tactic. With the motivation of showing this tactic being that you should always stick to the basics. Double down, make a battery, double your rooks, as fast as you can, as soon as you can, and whenever you can. So that's just one of the basic. That's just a reminder of a basic, common just thumb rule as such. Moving on, this is round 8 of the 44th Chess Olympiad. Ronak is playing white. This is India 2 versus United States of America, and as you can see, the Ronak's opponent for this match, round 8, is Dominguez Perez Lanier, and this is move 20 of the game. Out of this, the game goes on for like 30 more moves. I think not 30, 40 more moves. The game ends at 60, move 60. So yes, this is the 28th move. As you can see, both the players are castled on opposite sides of the board. Ronak went for the queen side castle. Uh, I'm sorry, Ronak went for the king side. Yeah, Ronak went for the queen side castle. Um, Dominguez went for the king side castle, and yes, the game is on. So as you can see, uh, Perez has pushed both his queen side pawns to the fourth rank, um, just trying to build pressure on the king queen side where the king has castled. Um, so last move that Perez played was a4, and obviously now this knight has to go somewhere, right? It cannot go here because it will be attacked thrice, while it's supported only once, and that it's just a free piece. It cannot go here since the queen attacks it with no defendants. The knight will fall. So only two viable squares are these two, but this square is okay, still fine, as it does not block any piece. But moving the knight to c1 is just it's too congested over here. The rook cannot come here. Queen is like a little bit blocked, and the knight still has no. Even after coming here, the knight has no outlet because the e2 square is blocked by its fellow knight. Um, the d3 square is blocked by the bishop, so it's just really messy. It's not a good position for Ronak. What he decides to do is sacrifice his knight in a brilliant play. So he plays knight to d4, the only square he did not discuss because I knew what he was going to play. That is, um, knight to d4. Obviously, the pawn can just capture it, and you will get the pawn, but it will be a pawn for a knight. And Ronak is a pawn up, as you can see over here. Ronak is a pawn up right now, so he can afford to sacrifice his knight in exchange of for one more pawn, and that's exactly what he does for better positional advantage. Um, knight to d4, e captures on d4, bishop captures on d4. So Ronak exchanges the knight for a pawn. He's now 1 point down, so 2 points against one knight. That's where he stands. With all the other pieces still there, two bishops, one knight, two rooks, one queen, and a few pawns, obviously, and the kings. Yes, bishop to d4. Now this was the first thing that I wanted to show you, that how you can let go of some material if it solidifies, or if it's better for you positionally. So material is not everything. Position is can be given precedence over material sometimes if you think that trying to say material would cost you too much positionally, or if you think that the positional benefit of sacrificing some material is worth it. So basically, that's what this first tactic was about. You can always sacrifice on the material if you want to gain clear cut positional advantage. That is what Ronak does over here. And now there are a series of moves like which I won't be discussing in too much in detail. Bishop captures on f6, bishop captures on f6. This There is one more tactic that comes over here. It's just brilliant. I did not notice it in the first place myself. But obviously I'm not Raunak Sadhwani. Um, Neither am I Dominguez Perez Lanier. So I did not notice it, but it's a tactic worth noticing. So I'll just show it quickly. Rook to h5, knight to rook to h5 check, knight to h7, blocking the check, pawn push e5, attacking the bishop, g6, attacking the rook. Now, obviously, the first instinct would be just move the rook away. Where the hell? But where can the rook go? If this square is covered by the bishop, this square covered by the bishop and the pawn. There is only one square for the rook to go, but it doesn't look too good because even if after the rook goes on to h6, bishop to g7 just wins the rook because there is no place where it can go. You'll have to just give up the sacrifice, like give up the exchange, that is. But here Ronak finds a brilliant move, um, a very brilliant move, which again I told you I did not notice at first myself, which is queen to h6. Now, immediate if the rook if Dominguez doesn't capture this rook, obviously queen captures h7 is checkmate. But even if Paris does capture on h5, bishop nicely covers this diagonal, and since the pawn on g6 won't be there, queen captures on h7 is still possible because of the bishop on d3, and it will still be checkmate. So this rook is untouchable. It cannot be captured now or for the near future. This is the brilliance of Raunak Sadhwani that he spots this amazing move. Obviously, he must have had it planned out before he played rook to h5 check, but something to watch out for. Um, yeah, here obviously Perez has to do something, so he tries to wriggle out of the situation by playing a few moves. So, but Ronak simply opens up some makes some room for his pieces to go about and for his rook to go, and he escapes with the rook. Ultimately, Ronak does end up winning the game. This is the final position where Ronak is much better off with one more rook and three more pawns than the opponent. So this is just winning for Ronak, and Perez resigns after move 57. But yeah, these were the two things that I wanted to show you. Sacrifice material can be sacrificed or compromised for positional gains or advantages. Always be on the lookout for um, unique ways to leverage potential, mate in one, two, or three moves. To stall the capture of your own pieces. That those are the two tactics, two things that I wanted to talk. Those are the two takeaways I had from this game, round eight. Ronak versus Perez. Moving on to the last tactic we'll be seeing for the day from Ronak Sadhwani. It's round 11. Ronak is playing the white pieces. This is move 14. The game goes on till like more than 50 moves. And as you can see, the last move that the opponent played is knight to d3. Now you can see that the bishop on if f4 is hanging, and this pawn will also fall soon enough. Two attackers, two defenders. However, it will fall soon enough because this knight is a monster knight. It's doing a lot of things, controlling a lot of important squares. You know so yeah, this is good for on first look, this is a good position for black. However, Ronak has some plans. He doesn't care about this hanging bishop at all. He goes for d captures on e6. Now here's the catch. Obviously my first instinct was just capture the bishop. It's a free piece. Both the players are equal here. The opponent can have like a full the opponent can be a full piece up, but that's not the case. Let's see what happens. What actually the opponent did play was f captures on e6. But let me show you what happens if knight captures on f4 is played. This is not a free piece. It looks like a free piece, but it's not. Queen to a4 is checked, and there's no way to save this knight now. There are a few things you can do. Like the best move suggested by the engine and by myself um, is king to e7. But let's look at another line that's possible. The worst line, that is. You can just block it with a pawn push b5. But then obviously this wait, sorry. You can just capture the pawn, grab an extra pawn over here. E captures on f7, and after the king captures on f7, you can just simply capture back on queen captures on f4, regain the piece, retake the piece that the opponent took away from you. And here also the attack is not ended yet. There are several threats that Raunak is putting on the opponent. This is obviously dying, and it will fall eventually. But this rook, this knight, I'm sorry, the bishop on f3, controlling the longest diagonal beautifully. This rook is hanging, and you will need to save that because you want your rook more than your bishop. I would assume common sense dictates that. So it doesn't matter where the rook goes. Let's say rook goes to a7. This bishop will fall, and yeah. So basically here, where you thought that after f capture, I'm sorry, after d captures on e6, when you will be the black will be a piece up towards the end of the variation. White is the one who will be an entire piece up. But let's look at another line that I talked about. Obviously, b4 is I'm sorry, b5 is not an option. What is your other option? Um, Other option is just king to e7. Those are the only two viable options. If you're thinking about putting your queen here, obviously not. The pawn just captures it, and yeah, it's just bad for you. Not even the pawn. Okay, this is queen captures on d7 will checkmate. So yeah, that's obviously not an option. King to e7 is an option, is an idea, but again, you move your queen, you move your king, and I just capture, grab an extra pawn. The king is much weaker here. This pawn will fall too very soon, so Ronak will be up by a pawn. Sorry, this is obviously dying, and then the pawn is also in the threat. This bishop will be also hanging. There are all sorts of threats in short. So yes, this is what Ronak had in mind while playing D captures on e6, grabbing a pawn, equalizing the material because this bishop is not that. Um, so yeah, those were the few tactics that Raunak Sadhwani employed in his tournament. He scored 5.5 out of 8 games that he played in the 44th Chess Olympiad, winning 5, drawing 1, and losing only 2 games. Yes, so yeah, that's today's video. I hope you guys understood the tactics. Thank you very much for watching.